it stopped me from living. I can't go to any graduations for my family. I can't go on family trips, especially if kids are there. If I want to go to the grocery store, I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the grocery store. I can't get housing because if it's within 1,000 feet of a school or a daycare, I can't live there. Around here, with our town being so small, everything is close to a daycare or a school.
How has it impacted my life? Of course, it has been an eye-opener. I'm gonna get to the good side. I am connected with you all who are fighting for this cause, for HIV criminalization, reform. That is a great thing as well over the past 4 or 3 years since I've been in contact. But the unfortunate side, what I had to deal with, it has heightened my social anxiety. Of course, I did not know about, about the technicalities of mental health and, the wording for it or whatever until I actually started going through this particular unfortunate situation where I was criminalized here in Arkansas. So, dealing with mental health, depression, really thought about suicide in the year 2018, unfortunately. Because again, this is new. This is something I never dealt with before. And the crazy thing is about me living with HIV, of course, they have self-esteem issues that happen throughout the years. It's, common, most common story, but dealing with HIV criminalization, that's a whole different thing that I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. And that's actually an understatement. I would not want that for them to go through that. So dealing with a lot of negative emotions that, of course, over time, I had to unpack and deal with other things I was dealing with as well. But I guess we'll get more into that later, pretty much. But that's how it has affected me. You can say I'm better now or whatever in a sense, but I still deal with a backtrack mentally and emotionally on this particular issue. Just at times. Of course, that's regarding the law, of course, changing the laws, but what about the stuff they're dealing with already? Could be help, but they might need help. Like, for example, Miss LaShonda, who's dealing with housing issues. Are you going to take care of that issue? Like, that's actually necessity. That's actually needing housing. And then what about those dealing with other health issues? Would you help them with that as well, and also financially as well? Because again, so people cannot work in certain areas as well. So that's a whole effect as well. So if you're just changing laws, you're also going to help change the person's life or have something in place for them to continue to move forward, pretty much.
MEPA has, meaningful involvement of people living with HIV and AIDS was extremely instrumental in changing and modernizing and repealing pieces of our HIV criminalization laws in Virginia. We reached out and was like, hey, would you help us? And they were like, heck yeah. And guess what? They got to testify in front of our General Assembly and to share those stories. And because of his story, we really said and were able to say, this is the reason why HIV laws need to be done away with, because it should not impact folks' lives for the rest of their lives. No one should ever have to say it stopped me from living. And we want to be able to, not just in Virginia, but across the country and the world, to not stop people from living, but encourage people to live, even living with HIV.
Legislators need to hear from us. They need to hear from people most impacted and especially hear the stories like LaShonda's and Sanjay's, how these laws impact the rest of your lives, not just yours, but also your families. And so when I would go to our day on the Hill, I would also often take my family with me, my son, my nieces, my mom, to show that, one, they need a face of of a person living with HIV. They also need to know that we are families, that we are mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. We are community members. And we're not just numbers that they see on a fact sheet. We are people, and the laws that they are voting on, that they are adopting, how that impacts our lives.
The one thing challenging, I would say personally and just in general, one, we can say education for one. Of course, the basis, you have to know about the virus itself. And then, of course, be educated on the laws itself. Because again, the laws is like a underlayer, like no one, it's like a ghost. No one knows about it really. They know about HIV. They come up with their, you know, their ignorance about it. And then for those who, you know, did know about it, they thought, oh, I thought it was gone. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not gone. And then there's like an underbelly, which is the HIV criminalization. Then, of course, it affects someone like me, mainly, you know, someone, a person of color. And then, you know, even the other demographic of, you know, men, Black gay men, for one. So I think that's the most challenging thing, is the education part, really. And then, of course, even for myself, even though I work a daytime job, I'm not in the field like y'all, you know, working with organizations. I'm just volunteering or getting in when I can. So that's why I'm actually making sure I'm part of stuff like this, make sure I'm showing the face, I'm still involved, like someone is still here, you know, to help someone that knows more or have more of a higher connection, of have them to push to where I can't get to just yet, pretty much, even though, you know, I'm only available for a small amount of time. So that's kind of it right there, the challenge for me.
One of the challenges that we also have to get over is making an assumption of how a legislator would vote. And that's why it's so important that we do talk to every legislator and not make assumptions, because we never know. Some of our greatest supporters have been from legislators who had a family member who was living with HIV or who had passed from HIV. So we have to educate everyone, which makes our job harder, but that's an important part of our strategy.
I think the hardest part is just getting the senators and the representatives to listen. And that's one reason why I came aboard to do advocacy work, is because I want them to listen to my story for just a second, and to get in my shoes for a brief moment and tell me how you feel. Like Sanjay said, some of them are not educated. I went to Day on the Hill and spoke with one of the senators there. He did not even know that criminal exposure to HIV was a crime until I sat down and talked with him. So I think get them educated and get them behind us, and I think we'll be okay. For me, what keeps me grounded in this work is the people behind me that's coming into this, and they don't know what's going on because their attorneys didn't explain it to them, or their public defender. And also it's for myself, because I want my life back. Yes. I haven't had my life in 15 years. I just want to live and be free. And it's very hard to do that. I'm sorry for crying, but it's hard to live. I have to look over my shoulder. I want to go hug my 18-month-old cousin so bad. I can't. I want to go to my cousin's graduation. I can't. I just want to be free. I want to live like everybody else. And I'm sorry for crying, y'all, but this means so much to me. It does. My heart is broke. I just want it to be mended back. That's all I ask.
What you can do is, of course, just get educated about the laws, but the experience for one of the person. On actually, let's the steps. Like for me, I was in jail for a week when my case had broke out. Basically, when it started, so people need contact far as getting bail money. But for me, I had to pay that on my own. So basically, my whole check, when I got paid that Friday, I bailed my own self out. I ain't have no money. So yeah, that's what happened. That's another story. And then of course, legal costs, because again, people in my community don't have money like that for an attorney. Fortunately, I had 401k where I was able to grasp up half of the money for my attorney, and the rest was raised by or help from you all during my time. People gonna need help with that. Is there something in place where they, for someone, a good attorney that's gonna be want to fight for it, not tell the person, well, just accept this or whatever. No, we want to do the best we can for the person, even the after support. And it may not even be financially for one. It can be just moral support. That was something in my case that was in dire need, and I had that at times, but it's kind of it on what someone can do that's fighting for this cause, pretty much.